Evolution doesn't just happen. It's engineered, refined by experience, and built to dominate. This is the next evolution.
The best of the best just got better. Clearer images, sharper resolution, improved target separation. That's right, better. LiveScope Plus, only from Garmin.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graph mounts up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products, and remember, you can't beat a beatdown.
The newest addition to the Basscat STS family is here. Introducing the Caracal STS, showcasing aggressive styling, paired with enhanced performance and a continued dedication to raising the bar. Measuring in at 20 feet 2 inches with an ultra-wide 96-inch beam and rated for a 250 to 300 horsepower engine, the Caracal STS boasts agility and speed and is finished with premium features to satisfy any angler. Basscat Boats. Feel the rush.
And live, see you later, 9. Oh, it could be 10. Oh, what a bite. Oh, buddy. It's a 10-pack. That's a giant. That's like a 11, actually. What a nice fish.
It's the moment when everything is on the line and precision, power, and control make all the difference. A moment over 20 years in the making, anchored on loyalty, trust, and support that goes beyond all expectations. A relentless pursuit of perfection. All born from a revolutionary idea to help you rule the water. Power Pole.
It is moving day on the Bassmaster Elite Series. 101 anglers battling it out here in the great state of Oklahoma. Tenkiller Lake is our playing field. 101 of them remain here on Friday the 13th. It'll be good luck for 50 of them and bad luck for 51, because 51 will be going home after today. 50 will move into semifinals Saturday, and this has been one of the most unstable fisheries we've seen in a long, long time. Everything changing every single day. I had several anglers say to me this morning that they don't even know if the person that wins this tournament has any idea they're about to win this tournament, because it keeps changing. Welcome into the Bassmaster Halftime Show presented by Basscat Boats. And Cal, Jesse, would you agree with that statement?
I would. It seems like that was a common theme throughout practice and, the day off. A lot of guys said that. I mean, with the amount of changing conditions, somebody that was on nothing in practice or, even whatever they were on could turn into something completely different by the time the tournament turns around. Obviously, fluctuating water, big story this week. Rain, obviously, we've seen that on the water. A lot of things going on, but it's made for a really interesting tournament so far.
The biggest shocker of the day, number one weigh-in. And, I mean, me and you talked about it. You've spent a bunch of time in this body of water over the years going to college. And you told me every single time you have been here, you saw Jason Christie's trailer in the parking lot to see how he struggled. Even when we saw what happened on the water with him yesterday, he lost a couple of fish. But me and you both agreed, he'll be fine. He's going to figure this out. To see him struggle like that, shocking.
No doubt. I mean, we saw him lose those 2 big ones on camera, and it didn't even feel like that big of a deal. Felt like in a situation where he was going to get those bites back, whether it be up on the bank, out deep. You heard him kind of battling those demons later in the day with the conditions, knowing that he should probably be up on the bank and not out deep. But, when you're a local and you have some of those secret spots and those places you really want to fish, you want that to work. Going to be interesting to see what he can do here on day 2 as well.
He's Jason Christie, so I would not count him out. But let's get caught up with everybody that we have cameras with our Yamaha midday report. And we'll kick things off with your reigning and defending Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year, Chris Johnson, trying to steal a few points away from Jay Securit. He did it at the last event. Can he keep that grind going here this week? I love seeing that scene right there.
No question. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. This is going to be a telling event in the Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year race for the final 2 events after this one. Chris Johnston, obviously we see what he does up north every single year, but easily one of the most well-versed anglers, versatile, can do everything that an angler needs to do. We see him up shallow, fishing the bank, flipping, then we see him offshore there, obviously getting bites as well. I mean, one of the absolute best anglers on the Elite Series. Be a special thing to win back-to-back Angler of the Year titles for Chris.
Chris Johnson is in a great position. Points are going to be a lot harder to earn at the next 2 because it's going to be a lot harder to have anybody slip. But Jay Securit has not slipped a lot, but a guy who's having a big week here this week, a 3-time Classic qualifier and a Bassmaster Open winner, Bob Downey.
Seems like Bob Downey really slides under the radar a lot of times in these tournaments, and then he'll slide up. He's just very quiet. I mean, but such a well-rounded angler, just like Chris Johnston. See him early this morning. I mean, one of the quickest anglers to have a limit in the boat, swimming a jig, fishing shallow, doing what he likes to do. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Be interesting to see what he does later this afternoon. I know he's mixing in some flipping as well. We've seen some of those bigger bites come in the afternoon. Really solid start for Bob so far, sitting in 5th place, and a couple bites away from being up there and having a chance to really win this thing.
Little swim jig action as well.
Bob has knocked at the door several times. He's been very close to Elite Series titles in the past. A very consistent angler. The question is, will there be water in his areas come the weekend? And a guy who, well, speaking of consistency, it just feels like we might as well just carve a spot out for him in our top 10 because he is perpetually in it. The youngest Elite Series champion in history, Illinois' Trey McKinney.
Yeah, I mean, Trey McKinney just won't go away. I mean, he is currently, it seems like he's always in the top 10, always on camera. I mean, how many days since he's been an Elite Series pro have we seen Trey McKinney on camera? It is outstanding what he has done in a really short amount of time. Early this year, struggled at St. John's River, the first tournament of the year, finished 89th. Since then, how about an 8th, a 2nd, a 3rd, 11th, 3rd, and 29th? And currently inside the top 10 here. Easton Fothergill's got a lot of the attention for, turning things around, deservedly so, but Trey McKinney is having an outstanding comeback season after that tough event.
Hard to believe that Trey McKinney's not been here for 2 full seasons. Let's have a look at your tournament leader, Elite Series rookie Andrew Loberg. Him and his roommates are doing some damage on the Elite Series. The Surge squad has been represented 2 Elite Series titles already, and Loberg would like to be in the next.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting thing because those guys that he rooms with have had such great success, obviously up there in the top of Dakota Lithium Rookie of the Year standings. But, obviously Andrew's had some ups and downs this season. Had some tough events, had a good one at Hartwell. We saw all of them have a lot of success there. But, I think a lot of people probably assumed he might be off the bank doing the live scope deal, like we've seen a lot of the anglers in the top 10 do. But Andrew Loberg staying up shallow, flipping, obviously fishing boat docks. Told me yesterday every single fish he had was a largemouth, and so far that's what we've seen him do today. Missed a really nice one early this morning, but what was really interesting to see was how cool, calm, and collective he was when that happened, because those 4-pound bites are far from guaranteed, and missing one is a real heartbreaker.
Lives in Alabama now, but he's from California, Clear Lake. He is used to fishing the way he's fishing. Let's check in with him live right now.
Still running some new stretches. Haven't really made any pulls. Just kind of seeing what's going on. The water definitely has dropped. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's any other little sections I've missed in practice. I'm going to try to fish a couple more around this area of the lake, and then I want to sizzle it up that river and see what's going on. I know the water's cleaned up there, and shook a couple off in practice up there, so I haven't been in there in the tournament yet. So I'm hoping that there's a few fish to be caught up there to kind of set myself up for another day or so fishing. But but yeah, we're just gonna plug away and keep flipping, man. Flipping's one of my favorite things to do. Growing up on that Cal Delta, man, that's all we like to do is flip that big weight in the mat and hold on. So I'm loving it. I'm soaked right now in the rain, but it's a good feeling to have a decent sack of fish right now. So just gonna keep grinding away. We've got plenty of time to figure something out, and hopefully run into one of those fatties. Those 4 and 5 pounders. I was surprised that there wasn't one in that 5+ pound range yesterday. So it'd be cool to run into one of those suckers and get them in the boat. But yeah, again, stoked on what we got, but we definitely got to make a couple plays here and put some fish in the boat and get some bites. And it is dumping. Good thing the fish are already wet. 'Cause I'm pruning up. Oh. We should probably roll somewhere. We're gonna make a move anyways.
It's raining. It's raining when you don't even need to look at the screen to know it's raining. But what he said, he's comfortable with a flipping stick in his hand. He told me this morning, I'm going to have to move. I'm going to have to adjust throughout the week. To me, this makes an incredible event. Watching these anglers adapt right now, looking at Chris Johnson.
There's a marina in here. I'm going to run up the river.
And according to Davey Height, the belief is that Chris Johnson caught that big fish that Loberg lost this morning.
Based on what we saw, if it wasn't the same fish, it was the next door neighbor of that fish, because it's certainly in the similar area. Interesting to see those two, number one, fishing in the same area, but also keying in on the fact that, that was a point. A lot of the fish seemed like earlier on in the tournament, day one, further backs in the creeks, that water falling out, obviously causing some of those fish to move out towards the front of the pockets and the points.
There's been a lot of talk about versatility. I'll just call it out with the debate over forward-facing sonar, with the talk of will things be changing in the future? Will we have a limit to that, events-wise and stuff like that? And the one thing that I've kind of said, and many people have said from the beginning, is you just want your angler of the year tested. You want to see that they're versatile in every way. This tournament could be a kind of a microcosm of that, because there's a chance that we're going to see somebody start with a flipping stick and finish in the middle.
No doubt. That is certainly true when you look at the full body of work. And it's not just for the Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year title. Making the Classic, requalifying, whatever it might be. You want them to be tested. And, when you come to this event to start with, let's just say under completely normal circumstances, level water, it might not look like this. It might look entirely like what we're watching Chris Johnson do here and fish off the bank. It's created a very versatile, having to change up type tournament.
Well, we talked about it, but let's have a look at it. Andrew Loberg with a big
Just had one.
Lost fish here this morning. We're going to have a look at that, and we're going to compare the two. But you see Loberg hooked up 7 a.m. this morning. Pay attention to where that fish came from. 4-pounder, not. A lot of those have been weighed in here this week. Now let's move ahead a little in time. And Chris Johnson, boy, he is right there. A little over 2 hours later. You do not see a lot of fish that size here. And if you watch our weigh-in, 4-pounders, there's been a bunch of 3s, a lot of heavy 2s. 4-pounders are very rare. And, I don't want to bet against Davey Height. Davey Height said he would throw his money down here at the casino and bet that was the exact same fish. We'll never really know, but as you said, if that isn't the same fish, that is the next door neighbor.
Absolutely. Yesterday I think we only saw 4 or 5 4-pounders during weigh-in, so definitely not a lot of them, and a massive catch there for Chris Johnston.
Well, if I know Chris Johnson, I know regardless whether it's the same fish, he's going to tell Loberg it is the exact same fish. We got great stuff coming up for you. Christine Fischer, hot off her win in the Bassmaster Kayak Series, going to join us and break down the very body of water where she got it done. Don't go anywhere.
Professional angler Jason Christie knows the performance and feel of a reel in his hands is very important. And that's why he designed the new Spro JC Elite and JC Elite MG baitcast reels to achieve both of those goals. The reels have 4 gear ratios for any technique, and the frame of each reel is the same size. So no matter which speed you use, they feel the same. 9 bearings, long casting, and loaded with power. Give the JC Elite and JC Elite MG a try this season.
25 years as a touring professional, I have depended on Gamakatsu my entire career to produce the sharpest and the strongest hooks. Known as a power fisherman, but yet if you're going to survive as a tour level pro, finesse is becoming more and more popular, regardless if we go north or we go south. So when you're choosing a hook, choose Gamakatsu. They have one for every technique and every body of water that you fish on.
Lights, sonar, action. Tired of waiting? See more action with world-class fish finders and sonar from Lowrance.
Discover the hidden gems and pristine waters of Tennessee's B.A.S. signature lakes. Conveniently located throughout Tennessee, there's a signature lake near you, covering all regions of the volunteer state, all endorsed by the legendary Bill Dance himself. Whether it's a weekend getaway or an extended vacation, create timeless memories at Tennessee's Bill Dance signature lakes. Plan your trip today.
Before there were hashtags, there were handshakes and shared stories. They gave us confidence to make our first cast and chase our dreams. They taught us to fish, and in the process, taught us about life. They taught us that success isn't just about reaching the top. It's about lifting others up. The future isn't just about selling tackle. It's about 3 simple words. Let's go fishing. Here's to the original influencers.
As a professional fisherman, every decision I make is to win.
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 The boat I drive,
the baits I throw,
the gear I wear.
I do it to win.
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 Because when I'm on the water, I want to be the best.
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 That's why.
That's why.
And that's why.
That's why.
We wear the best.
Welcome back into the Bassmaster Halftime Show presented by Bass Cat Boats. There, a look at your leader here at the Lowrance Bassmaster Elite at Tenkiller. Andrew Loberg with 33 pounds, 3 ounces. Keith Combs trying to chase him down. And yet again in the top 10, Trey McKinney, Greg DePalma, Bob Downey, Carl Jacobson, our defending champion. Man, Tenkiller works very, very well for him. Wes Logan, Scott Canterbury, hot off winning a gold medal. And in 10th place, you see Justin Atkinson. In 10th place, Jordan Lee. But let's get out to him live right now.
In the rain, baby. In the rain. Let it flood.
Keep him in them bushes. 3-pounder, biggest one of the day. Nice trade.
Let it rain indeed. Let it flood.
3-pounder.
As Jordan Lee said, because he's making it rain fish right now. And Jordan Lee has never won an Elite Series event. I always joke with him that he's only good at those classics. He just doesn't have the stamina to last the 4th day of competition. But Kyle Jesse, you said what he's doing, in your opinion, could last.
It's the most interesting thing so far. You know, just about an hour ago on live, we got to hear him break down what he was doing, fishing the upper end of the lake, trying to fish that dirtier water that's been a little untapped. You see a lot of guys down lake in the clearer water. If he can make that last and tap into a bite that nobody else is doing, even that water dropping with that dirtier water, I mean, those fish might stay up there. It'd be really interesting to see what he does the rest of this event.
Well, speaking of tapping into a bite that nobody else is doing, I don't know if she was the only one doing it, but Christine Fischer dominated the kayak event just 2 weeks ago, and we are happy to have you join us. Did your damage shallow, I believe, with a cull shad for the bulk part of it. But, Christine, it's amazing how this fishery continues to change just 2 weeks later.
Yeah, you know, one of the really surprising things is it's setting up almost identical to how it was for our event, starting at around 8 feet high and then dropping around 2 foot a day. So, you know, varying water levels, a lot of different fluctuations there, and a lot of different patterns at play. So it's been a really fun event to watch when I've been able to kind of peek in and see what the guys are doing.
Number one, why am I not surprised you're on the lake fishing right now? That is to no surprise of anybody. But number two, I want to ask you, you know, you're sitting behind a boat dock there, and I know boat docks were a big part of your game plan. Talk to me about the stability of fishing those docks. You know, the water rising and falling is going to affect those floating boat docks a lot. Kind of walk me through what you were doing and how those boat docks played out.
Well, you know, for me, when I was breaking down the lake, I found that there were large populations of fish in certain areas, but there was also a lot of dead water. And I knew with that water level dropping, I wanted to find a little bit more of a stable bite. So I really focused on some steeper banks. And then again, those floating docks, I felt like with the water dropping, as those fish kind of started to transition out, a lot of those docks and how they were positioned and some of that structure around the mouths of the creeks, I felt like was going to be a very stable, very consistent bite that would not only, you know, produce over 2 days, but also I found out it reloaded hourly.
Christine, you're an incredible individual. I mean, I think we're lucky to have you as a Bassmaster ambassador. We're lucky to have you as part of this sport. Your transition from kayak events, obviously, you won that 2 weeks ago. You're competing in the opens. I don't know if I put too much pressure on you, but a few minutes ago I predicted that you will be the first female angler ever to make the Bassmaster Elite Series. Do not make me a liar. Is that going to happen in the future?
You know, that would be an ultimate dream come true, but a bigger dream for me is just to see it happen in my lifetime. And if it's the next girl coming up through high school, I will be ugly crying, cheering her on. It doesn't need to be me. Man, would it be cool? Would it be a dream? Yes, sir. But more than anything, my goodness, I just want to see more gals doing it, and I want to see it happen in my lifetime because I think that would be so dang good for our sport.
Christine, it's obviously been well, published how much success you've had in a kayak. Obviously, just winning the one, a few weeks ago, and then multiple kayak wins over the last handful of years. Making the transition to additionally fishing out of the front of the boat this year on the opens. Kind of walk me through what that's been like, and that challenge.
You know, the biggest challenge for me is just getting to a place where I can focus on the fishing. And not learning the boat positioning has been really challenging, just kind of making it to where I understand how this boat moves, how the trolling motor works, just the little odd and end things that go wrong out on the water, running the boat. You know, I've been up here on Champlain, and that was my first big water experience. And goodness, do I need a little bit more practice doing that? So I think my main goal is to eventually get to a place, you know, the fishing's the same. Breaking down the water is the same. I really approach it in a very similar manner, but it's just learning all the nuances of the boat control, boat positioning, which is so big, especially we see it now, these guys fishing boat docks and, you know, kind of fishing some of those areas. It's critical. So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, but as far as the approach, it's very similar for me.
One of the amazing things about the Bassmaster program and the amazing job that you do, the rest of the ladies do that are part of that, is you inspire a next generation. I see young ladies, ladies of all ages leaving those clinics, and they feel like they have a home, like they've got. But if you right now could look into that camera and give advice to ladies that want to follow in your footsteps and chase that same dream, what would it be?
Best advice I can give anybody, and this goes for anyone across the board, is to completely tune out all the noise, all the negativity. Surround yourself with positive people that believe in you. Seems like, you know, that's a pretty difficult thing anymore, but really just hone in, listen to that inner voice that you've got, and if you believe it's something that you want to do and it's your dream, that's all really you need to listen to. Now, there's a lot of negativity out there, but you got to remember those negative people aren't making the risks and the sacrifices that you're doing to accomplish that dream. So at the end of the day, you just got to keep going for it.
One last question, back to Tenkiller. I know you've been fishing, and I don't know how much you've been paying attention to this event, but if you had to ride a pattern to win this event all the way through to Sunday, what would it be?
You know, obviously, I knew that forward-facing sonar was going to play, but I didn't think it would dominate that top 10. I still am a big believer in that swim bait fight. You know, I'm surprised. I really like to see Christy get a little more shallow. I saw him kind of fishing some of that scattered brush out in front of Chicken Creek, but especially with learning about his heritage with Ned Christie, as if he did need another layer of intimidation. I really think that flipping bite and that big swim bait bite, you know, there's big populations in those areas, and that stuff, I really think it's going to reload. I want to see one of the flipping guys and some of the guys throwing those swim baits around. I think that could do it.
Well, thank you very much, Christine. I'll let you get back to fishing. There's not a day that Christine isn't fishing. Obviously, we had a little spotty audio service there. And the greatest thing is I heard Christine fine, but all of a sudden, Kyle Jesse, it is raining so hard here right now, I can't hear her anymore. Thank you very much, Christine. Good to see the weather's better where you're at. It's inclement here right now, Kyle Jesse.
We've been watching it rain all day on live, and it hasn't made its way to where we're at, and then all of a sudden it is certainly coming down. Like Jordan Lee said, let it come down. Let's keep that water up, that shallow bite going, and see what happens.
Well, it is definitely raining right now, but atop the leaderboard, the same leader since day number 1, California's Andrew Loberg, 33 pounds, 3 ounces. Trying to chase him down, a 3-time Bassmaster winner, 3-time TTBC champion Keith Combs, and Trey McKinney, the young angler that will never go away, perpetually part of the top 10. We'll continue to follow the action. Don't go anywhere.
Serious anglers know that with every cast, there's a lot on the line. You need a line you can count on and trust.
Got him.
Uncompromising in its engineering, Suffix is stronger, tougher, and consistently reliable, like the anglers who depend on it. With Suffix, there's nothing you can't catch. Always use the best line.
We're off the clock to clock more fish, to fill our live wells and empty our coolers, because there's more to explore. The latest Humminbird fish finders work fast, see clearly, and know all the best spots. They fish even smarter paired with the Minn Kota, and break down the water like never before. If you like your plans loose and lines tight, then it's time to explore. Only with Humminbird.
This is the brand new VXS. It's a little bit shallower than the original. It has more of that traditional bass boat look that I love. The layout of this boat's set up really, really nice. Really easy to fish out of, really easy to rig out of. Storage is insane. And this thing's a beast in big water, but also drafts super shallow. So, you know, just a really high performance machine. I can take this boat all across the country, whether I'm river beating or on the Great Lakes, and it handles everything flawlessly.
Good morning, commuters. Looks like we got traffic backed up for miles. Starting with a downed tree blocking East Avenue and a broken water main causing a bottleneck on the westbound lanes. We've got weekend travelers flooding the turnpike, meaning it's bumper-to-bumper traffic for the foreseeable future. I'd get comfortable. You might be there for a while.
Toyota Trucks. Let's go places.
If you're looking for a new piece of clothing to try to help beat the heat, you gotta check this out. This is the new Aero Mesh hoodie right here by AFCO. It has great technology to let the air through, vents out real quick. They even tighten the hood up. If you're out working in the sun, you're trying to get that sun off your face, it fits a little tighter in on you to block the side views. Fit super nice, so if you're athletic, working out, whatever you want to do, it's a nice, cool fit to you, but yet it's gonna help you beat the heat. You gotta check it out. It's the Aero Mesh.
Welcome, bass fishing fans, to the all-new ultimate destination for Bassmaster merchandise. All the goods you need to elevate your fishing game and rep your Bassmaster pride. Find exclusive Bassmaster apparel, high-quality gear and accessories, and more with prices to fit every budget. At the Bassmaster online store, you'll shop with ease from the comfort of your home with fast shipping and unbeatable quality you can trust. Just go to bassmaster.shop to find out what's new and get what you want to gear up for your next big catch.
Welcome back to the Bassmaster halftime show. It continues to rain here on Tenkiller in Oklahoma. We promised that things were going to be unstable, and unstable they have continued. A nice view of Jacob Faust crossing the water, but Tenkiller has a beautiful part of the world. I mean, you're at the foothills of the Ozark Mountains. But, man, we have dealt with everything here this week. We've had sun, we've had rain, we've had rising water, dropping water. One thing has stayed consistent, and that is your tournament leader, Andrew Loberg. Took the lead yesterday, and for a little while it looked like he might struggle this morning, but he has not struggled at all. He is back in the lead with 33 pounds, 3 ounces, and a 3-pound lead, just under a 3-pound lead, in this particular tournament is huge.
Absolutely. I mean, he's still got a 2.4 in the live well, a 2.12. You know, he catches a couple more 3-pounders or lands a 4+ like we saw him obviously have the opportunity to do this morning, and it's going to change his tournament around completely. And the one thing he said, you know, he said he was comfortable with a flipping stick in his hand, doing what he's doing. That's the best way to describe watching him on camera. Like, he looks incredibly, incredibly comfortable.
Well, you have done some whittling of numbers and got your abacus out. You got a little bass track breakdown for us?
I'm not sure I'm going to do quite as good of a job as Steve Bowman does at breaking down the numbers, but I'm going to do my absolute best. All week long, we've heard guys talk about the early morning bite, the shallow bite. We saw that play out certainly on day one. You know, the first question is, what's the best bite window for numbers? And, you know, yesterday, the first hour and a half, you know, we saw 136 catches on Bass Track from 7 to 8. That was a massive, massive window. From 8 to 9, 117, you know, catches in that window. Later on in the day, it drops off significantly, though. You look at the 10 o'clock to 11 window, only 79 catches, and then it tailors off even more, 11 to noon, 47 catches. The numbers are certainly coming in the morning, and we've seen that today so far on camera. A lot of our anglers catching a limit extremely fast. A lot of guys talked about during practice, the off day, kind of a lingering shad spawn. Jason Christie even alluded to that. Hence the reason that early morning bite window is really good. However, like we've seen a lot this year, this seems to be one of the common trends, is the best bite window for the bigger fish has been late. Yesterday, during that 136 catches between 7 and 8, we only saw, well, only 7 3+ pounders caught. To put it into perspective, from 11 to noon, there was only 47 catches total, and 8 of those were 3+ pounders. The hour before that, 6 of them. I mean, the afternoon has certainly been a big time for those 3+ pounders. It's going to be interesting to see today if that obviously holds out. And then, looking at it today, a lot of the same. 7 to 8, we're seeing 115 catches on Bass Track. Just under that from 8 to 9, and then obviously it's slowed down a little bit, but you would think with these conditions, the rain, overcast, that shallow bite would prolong, but with the falling water, it's going to be an interesting thing to see. There's so many things to keep an eye on in this tournament.
Yeah.
I think that's really what's made it so much fun to cover and watch as a fan, is just the fact that you really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's like each level. You're leveling up like a video game. It just gets harder and harder as you go along. That afternoon bite is not what anglers talked about coming into this event. Most anglers I talked to, they were all like, it's all about the first hour to 2 hours in the morning, but clearly the numbers prove different.
When it just started pouring rain, it was pretty fun. Got us up to 11 and a quarter. Not a giant bag, but decent for 10:30. With I got like a 120 in there, so I went up into the dirtier water where I caught 2 of my wave fish yesterday and had one break me off and caught one small one, so wasn't getting a good vibe, so I came back down here right before where I started. And I know I've missed some fish down through here, just because how much cover there is. But I definitely think the fish are not way up tight in the stuff. I've got a couple bites out on some of these logs. They've been small, but I'm just trying to kind of fill it out, It's definitely not what I did yesterday. There's one. He was little. Felt him just pecking it. What I did yesterday, it seems really hard to just duplicate. Off the same stretches, fishing like this, but I know there's probably way more fish out from me, but it seems like my better bites, those 3+ pounders have all been in something. We lost probably about 3/4 of a foot. But I'm optimistic. I'm definitely not changing up my game plan at all. All it takes is one right pitch. Or a couple of them. And you got all this debris and just a bunch of just nasty stuff they can be in. But there's definitely not a lot of bites to be had. Way up in the stuff. Just like this log right here, how it's just laying. It's not even attached to the bottom, but there'll be one just suspended on it, and
Jordan Lee, the most important word that he said there is optimistic. It's amazing to see him to go to what many would assume a negative and turn it into a positive. But a guy that's turned things positive with one big bite. And really, it seems like things are perpetually positive for Chris Johnston. And once again, he has put himself in an opportunity to defend his Angler of the Year title.
No question. So hard to do. I mean, just to have the opportunity be right there is so hard to do as it is, which is why it's so difficult to come back from, after doing it once.
Hooked up live.
Probably bigger than the 1-1. That's not pretty.
I wish I could tell you that was a special rain filter that we're using to perpetuate the rain, but that is not. That is what our camera folks are dealing with, and a special shout out to all of them. They are the true unsung heroes of this sport. I always say there's three groups: the wives of the anglers, the service crew, and the camera folks. They deal with everything, and I mean, shooting a fishing show is tough, but shooting when somebody's competing, there is no, I mean, if you were shooting a fishing show, you'd be off the water by now. You'd be in having a warm drink or something, but they are battling through and getting great footage.
You'd be doing what we're doing and hiding under a tent where we're not going to get wet. Doing that job even under perfect conditions, you know, Chamber of Commerce weather is not easy. Staying out there all day long, you know, grinding the elements, but especially in tournaments like this where you're getting constant rain, it's just miserable to be out there, and those guys continue to deliver, so we appreciate them so much.
One of the overused words in bass fishing, I mean, there's a few that come along, but grind is one. But I feel this week, a word that I've not heard a lot of in bass fishing, but I'm hearing a lot of it, is pruned up. Anglers are pruned up. A guy who's not old enough to be pruned up is Trey McKinney, the youngest Elite Series champion in history.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this rain definitely, I don't see it helping me. The more it rains, overcast, in my opinion, the tighter they sit the stuff. It's usually, it happens both ways. Like when it's cloudy, they sit tighter. The fish that are deep, the fish that are shallow roam. It just makes it weird when it's like this. I would rather have it sunny for me, just because I feel like fish will get out and cruise these breaks, look for bait to eat, stuff like that. Without them doing that, it makes it a little harder to catch, just because they're hunkered down on their one piece of structure, their little house. And right now, it's been pretty tough. If they're on something, I don't know if it's because people can see it and more people throw to it or what, but it is tough when you get them on structure. They're either bite it or they literally just don't even look. There's like no in between. Like right now, I think I'm a bunch of crappie and stuff. Seen a bunch of fish, but 2-pounders, pound 80s, pound 80s, pound 80s, like everywhere. I've been reeling it away from I don't know how many, just because I don't want them to tear my worm. Because there's literally everywhere, but they're all small. All of them. Come on. We just need one random.
Well, they say honesty is the best policy, and I'm just going to tell you, with how hard the rain is here, I basically heard Charlie Brown's teacher right there. I heard womp, 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 womp. Let's go over to Bob Downey.
But we had a rain cell come through, and I felt like my gut was telling me I needed to get down here and at least try it while we had those conditions. I wasn't expecting to catch, 2-3 pounders doing it like yesterday, but felt like I had to try it and at least get it out of my system. So we'll throw it a little bit more down through here, but it's definitely been tougher. Since that morning flurry we had. I'll be curious to see if we can get any bites flipping this afternoon or if that's really fading on us. I'm not sure yet. I haven't really flipped much down the lake here. After I had my weight yesterday, I kind of just did some different stuff to try and save some stretches, but I'm not sure. This shallow bite After the morning has not been super easy. We've had, I don't know, 7 or 8 keeper bites so far doing it today. But I mean, with that rain cell we just had, I mean, there's water pouring into the lake in these little ditches right now, so who knows? We'll keep an eye on water levels this evening, and if it comes back up, you know, maybe that bite will materialize again, but it's been a little tough so far after the morning. I'm gonna throw this swim bait down through this corner. This corner is where I caught the 3-pound smallie yesterday, and I had another one swirl on it yesterday, so I'm gonna finish out this stretch and then I'm gonna go flip again, at least for a couple hours, and if it's not happening I may have to go offshore. There's some brush and rock areas I caught some fish offshore, but you know, we got 11.5 to 11 3/4, 12 pounds maybe. I really would love to get above 13. If we could get to 14, that I think would keep us up in the top 10. So we're really only 2, you know, 3-pound plus bites away from having a good day. And 3-pounders are not easy to come by out here, but we had a couple of them yesterday, so it's definitely doable.
That'll give you an idea of what's going through Bob Downey's mind. And I said this lake was unstable. And if you don't realize how unstable it's been, we go from shot to shot where it looks beautiful out, and then it is teeming rain. It is all over the place. But we're going to get it all. The train's going to get back in the track because we're bringing Steve Bowen in here. He's going to tell us what Bo knows right after this.
Since 1975, PH Marine has been the leader in boat parts and accessories, powering every journey on the water. From trim handles to jack plates, we've built a legacy that keeps you running strong. PH Marine, built for life on the water.
There's a big one in the reeds ahead. I know it. He doesn't care who I am, what titles I have, how many blue trophies I got, that I've fished since I could walk, or that I've spent countless hours on the water for this moment. It's me versus the fish, and I like to win.
So we're not all professional anglers. We don't all compete on the biggest stage. But inside us all burns the same fire to be a champion. It's why you get out early, brave the toughest conditions, point the bow toward adventure, and put the hammer down. For whatever trophy or fish or memory you're chasing, count on a Mercury Pro XS outboard, engineered to deliver the speed and reliability you need to power the champion inside you.
The newest addition to the Flashpoint line, the deep version. Having a jerkbait that gets down to that 10 to 12 foot range is a must. The reason I'm grabbing or picking up the Flashpoint is because of that blade right there. It does two things. It provides flash, the most important thing. It's a different Flashpoint under the water that the fish haven't seen. It's a small, unique profile that mimics a small bait fish. The deep will get you down to that 10 to 12 foot range and reach those deeper suspended fish.
The Yamaha VMAX V6 SHO continues to deliver the level of performance that pro bass and multi-species anglers demand. Underneath a bold and aggressive new look, an upgraded charging system with 40% more charging power meets the amped-up demand for today's advanced electronics. The VMAX SHO, raw power, reliability, and exhilarating performance for every angler who loves the sport enough to invest in the best. Yamaha, reliability starts here.
Bassmaster halftime show presented by Bass Cat Boats. And that picture right there just doesn't do it justice. What is happening out there on Tenkiller? But the leaderboard, well, it hasn't changed. It's been the one stable thing from the beginning. Andrew Loberg has led this event since day number one. Elite Series rookie from California, 33 pounds and 3 ounces. Trying to chase him down, Keith Combs, Trey McKinney, Greg DePalm in the mix, and old Bob, we saw him for a little while, and guess what? We are on Tenkiller, and Carl Jacobson going to be a player, and he has proven that once again here this week. Going to be joined by Steve Bowman, what Bo knows, but before we get into that, Steve, and I appreciate everything you bring. My daughter Cadence loved the history lesson yesterday, learned all about Ned Christie, so thank you for that. You got some breaking news off the water, Kyle Jesse.
Yeah, so Keith Combs just made another cull. He's up to 16 1/4 so far in the day, the best bag we've seen to this point. You know, really challenging for the lead from Andrew Loberg. Got a report from Dalton Tumblin. Yesterday, we speculated that it was possible he'd be out deep cranking because that's something we saw a good bit on day one, something he's so good at. But reports from Dalton Tumblin on the water said he's flipping, shallow cranking, not something we've seen quite as much, parallel on the bank. Ironically, something he had a lot of success here in 2019 when the Elite Series was here. So Keith Combs fishing shallow, said the flip and bite is much better today. That's what he's going to stick with.
Great job from Dalton getting us that information off the water. We got him anglers covered whether they have a camera with them or a still camera with them. And Bowman, you're going to regale us with some knowledge as you always do.
Can you spell regale? I never know how to spell that.
I work in the spoken word, not the written word.
There you go. Well, you know, we were looking at the standings there, and it's really kind of interesting because we saw similar to that yesterday. But when the weigh-in was over, it was a total different story. Would you agree?
Yes, very much.
Yesterday, Thursday, as I'm calling it, the terrific day. It's
terrific.
I'm using a play on words.
Oh, I see what you did there.
There you go. That's what I'm doing there. So, and I'm going to remind you of when we were at Hartwell. There were a lot of ties.
There was.
Matter of fact, we actually, Kyle and I working on a statistical database for everything. We actually kind of pronounced Hartwell as having the most ties so far, you know, and not we don't know in least history, but maybe in the last 4 or 5 years.
In recent memory.
Yesterday blew it away. Okay.
Really?
Yes, it did. There were 12 ties in just the top 50 yesterday. 12 anglers. Or 12 different ties that involved at least half the field of 50. Previously at Hartwell, there were 10 ties in the top 50. Then we get it gets even tighter. There are 25 different ties here going into the day as compared to 20 different at Hartwell. A total of 68 anglers started today in a tie of some sort, and at Hartwell it was 43.
Wow.
That includes 9 3-way ties, 1 4-way tie, and 1 5-way tie. I mean, the idea. So we're talking about for how all of this is so close and everything. And you talked about the differences in the how the standings are formulating. That one fish. Well, you know, there's going into the day there was just 15 ounces separating 11th through 27th. 15 ounces. You know, I mean, that's a Kentucky. That's a 12-inch Kentucky bass, right? 3 pounds separated the top 17. 3 pounds separated 17th to 63rd. And 3 pounds exactly separated 63rd to the end of the line, 101st. So that one 3-pounder that we saw, 3+ pounder that we saw Loberg loose and Chris Johnson potentially catch, the ones that y'all were talking about, Christie yesterday losing 2 of those type of fish, those are incredible difference makers. They mean a lot of difference between 101st to 1st, actually, because that's how tight everything is. It's really too close for comfort.
And that's something that Matt Pangrak talked about yesterday before we even came on camera is, a lot of tournaments when we go to Florida, for instance, you hear guys talk about your day is, only as good as your biggest fish. You can have a limit full of 2-pounders all day long, but without that 6+ pounder, you're not going to really have a chance to have a lot of success. Here, he made the comment that it's really dependent on your smallest fish because we're not seeing a whole lot of fish over, yesterday we already talked about it, 4+ pounders during weigh-in. I mean, we've seen Keith Combs with a 5. So realistically, the chances of catching a 6+ pounder to this point in the tournament seems super unlikely. So
really
the difference between having a 1.5 and a 2.5 at the bottom end of your live well really makes a really big difference.
Or a 1 1/4, because that was prevailing theme in the weigh-in line yesterday. It's like, how'd you do? I got a small one.
Couldn't get rid of the small one.
Couldn't get rid of the small one. I had 2 small ones. Couldn't get rid of the 2 small ones. Because everything else, if you looked at the bags and you stand there by Bill Burtis and watch the bump table and you're like, I saw that stringer. The last guy and the guy before that and the guy before that. Because it is, and so the difference maker is not the big fish as much as it is the small fish. And that makes the difference in those 3-pound things. So it's really, really close.
One of the coolest ties that was in there that I saw was a 3-way tie with Kyle Welcher and both Johnson brothers. Tied for 6th place. Yeah. And weirdly enough, they've done that before. But out in the water live right now with Jordan Lee, and he is hooked up.
I think there's fish that are out here a little bit. 2.5. This is 12.5. Got water falling.
Jordan Lee was welcoming the weather, said let it flood.
Let it flood.
Well, our anglers are dealing with a lot out there, and just like a day on the water, things can change, and things changing for our tournament leader, Andrew Loberg.
Sitting under the storm shelter here, just waiting for the storm to pass. It's I don't mind sitting in the rain much, but when I see lightning, I go duck. It's something I don't really like messing with. Being from California originally, we don't really have this very often, so when I see that lightning, I get out of the way. But kind of made it closer up the river a little bit. I want to go up there and check some spots I haven't fished yet, and kind of see what's going on, and run this whole north arm of the lake, and kind of get a lay of the land for tomorrow, because like I said, this lake's changing, and with all this rain, it might come back up, and some of these other stretches might get good again. So just really kind of get a feel for what's going on a lot of these main stretches, and kind of see what's going on for tomorrow. And also I really would like to get a big bite, another 3.5, 4-pounder and upgrade. So these guys are going to smash them today, and weights are going to be tight. So looking forward to it. Hopefully the next few minutes we'll get back out there and plunk around and throw that bug in a bush and see what happens, see if we can't get a big one.
Well, good to see Andrew Loberg is playing it safe, and a great lesson for anglers all around the world. Whether you're competing, whatever you're doing, no bass is worth your life. And if you see lightning, take cover, and he's doing that. And he's also looking towards tomorrow and the weekend, and he can do that because he's your tournament leader. Bo, that was a terrific segment.
It was terrific.
Don't go anywhere. The guys in the studio are going to continue to break down the action from the ranch of Bassmaster Elite.